Hello there, I'm Keel Saronin Beatmaker, and on this episode of the Monday Mindset Podcast, we're going to be talking about being present. We often find ourselves multitasking our thoughts or responsibilities or tasks or relationships, never allowing ourselves to be present in the moment. And I think a lot of that stems from, for everyone, is various, from cultural upbringing, from the way your parents brought you up, from the way your brain functions, your personality, the society that we live in, the social standards, the social requirements, the job requirements. I mean, especially in this country, we never have time to be present. We never have time to just I mean, that's one luxury that podcasts give us, is that even if you're being active or sitting in a car, whatnot, you're still just not moving. You're being in the moment. You're listening. Well, I guess not if you're multitasking. But I think one thing that's great about podcasts is that you can just kind of be present, so to speak. Um, but I mean, we need being present is so much more important than I think a lot of us realize, and it's something that I'm still learning, that I'm still working on. And most often than not, you find yourself distracted because you're not focused. And being present means being focused. And how many times often are we all just like, we're driving, we're at work, or whatever, we're doing our thing, but, we're not really there. Our brain is thinking about dinner or thinking about bills or, thinking about relationships, whatever's going on. And so when we're caught up like that, what we're doing in the moment, in the present, it gets affected by that. And you're not 100% in, you're not 100% committed. And, that can be reflected. You know, Eventually people will notice that. Some people are quick than others, but people will notice that you're not present, that you're not focused, that you're not on task. And even yourself, you'll catch yourself. There have been plenty of times where I've caught myself and I've realized, damn man, like you really haven't been focusing. You haven't been present. And the work you're doing right now, it's being affected. You're not actually really gaining anything. You actually haven't really achieved anything. And that's happened with music, with writing, with working out, with meditation, with everything. If you're not present as best as you can be, it's going to be affected. Your responsibilities, your relationships. We don't we don't really think about how important that is to our relationships as well, being present. And I mean, being present can just mean, especially if in a relationship, just communicating, talking, doing the chores, if you're living together, whatever it could be, but like just listening to them when they're talking. I mean, whether it doesn't matter, just listen. It may be nonsense. It may be not something that you're interested in, but to be present and to act like you genuinely care, to be there, honestly, that means more than any of the advice or being like, "What? You're right. Oh, man, I can't believe they said that." It doesn't matter. You just genuinely listening and responding, that means more than anything else. And that's being present. And that shows value. And even when it comes to yourself, you know, if you're trying to accomplish a goal, if you're, let's, like I said, working out, let's bring that up. Like, if you're not being present in your workout routine, you're not going to fully commit to it. You're not going to finish strong. You're going to stop. You're going to only do half of the reps that you are supposed to do. You're going to do half. Because you're not fully present. And don't get me wrong, like, I know it's hard. I know it's so freaking hard to like be present when you have so much going on. And look at the climate that we're in right now. It is so hard right now to be present. Because, wait, what's going on politically? What's going on personally? What's going on financially? We're all over the place because we don't know what's going on. And that's going to be a topic for another podcast. But, like, did I already talk about it? I'm not even sure. But, like, we're so all over the place that we don't even know how to be present. We don't even know how to be still. I mean, look at phones. I mean, we can't even just take in a moment. We got to take a picture of it. There are times where I catch myself taking a picture before even taking a chance to just take it in. Take in the scenery, the moment. And sometimes, you need to be quick with taking a photograph because you might be catching something that's, great. That could go viral, or, that's a really great emotional moment with friends, family, with your pets, whatever. But sometimes we don't even take in the moment. We don't even take in the scenery. We don't take anything in anymore. And if we do, it's filtered through bullshit. It's filtered through other people's opinions. It's filtered through Snapchat filters and Instagram filters, Facebook filters, our own bias filters. And we're not even present for that. Because, the biggest problem about being present is that you're either, you're stuck in the past, you're caught up in the future, you don't allow yourself to focus on what you can control in the present. And even then, when I say, you're caught up in the past or you're caught up in the future, you can be caught up in whatever is going on. But like, the reality is, you have to try your best to focus on what's going on in front of you, especially when it comes to things that are, that pay the bills, that, that are crucial. Because regardless of what's going on in your life, regardless, do your best to be present, because there's going to come a time in your life where when you're not present to the best of your ability, and it's going to cost you dearly. And there's nothing worse than that. None of us want that. Sorry, I spilled something on my pants. But none of us want that. Um, and I know it's hard being present because it's a lot easier to be present on like your favorite Netflix show or Hulu show or HBO show. It's a lot easier to be present on your favorite book, video game, podcast. But to be present on your own personal responsibilities, now that's a whole nother cup of tea right there that nobody wants to deal with. Hell, I don't even want to deal with it at times. There are responsibilities that I know I need to be present for, but I avoid, or I create excuses for them. But I think a lot of that also comes to, insecurities. We all have insecurities, and sometimes being present means facing those insecurities. Whoa, mind blown. I never thought about it that way. But like, think about it. Like, being present means facing, your insecurities, facing your responsibilities, facing yourself, facing friends, family, work, goals. And that's the hardest part, is like our insecurities. And it's like you can even be self-aware of what your insecurities are, but there are going to be times when they just get you. You're going to be off your groove, and your insecurities are just going to have control, and they're going to affect you being present. And it doesn't matter what the situation is. It doesn't matter what your insecurities are. It can be even associated with your fears. It can be associated with what you're afraid of, past traumas. That's another thing that can affect being present. What affected you in the past or recently that you've experienced that affects your ability to focus? Even if you're doing all right, if you're doing okay, yeah, you're struggling a bit, but you're doing okay. But why can't you focus? Why can't you be present? What's going on? And a lot of us, we don't want to know what that is. We never want to take that in. Take in being present. Take in that feeling of, okay, here we are. This is what I am right now. Not worrying about what's going to happen in the future, not worrying about what other people, just here. And even like, I know with everything that's kind of going on in the world right now, being present is like, what should I be present for? Should I be present for the collapse of the country? Should I be present for the fact that, I might get evicted? Should I be present for the fact that I have a family member that's in the hospital for COVID? Should I be present for the fact that, my child is struggling with his hybrid schooling? Should I be present for the fact that I'm struggling with work? That I'm struggling being present for work? Should I be present for the fact that I don't even have work right now? So then what? Then when all that, I'm sure people are saying that to themselves, like, Kios, what the fuck? What are you saying? How can I be present when I got all those things that you just said going on in my life? And I'm like, hey man, I'm right there with you. I'm only working 2 days a week, 3 days a week, and even then, I'm not making the same money I was making before the pandemic started. And even back then, I wasn't making that much. But it wasn't even the fact that I wasn't making that much. It was the fact that I finally had a job where I was valued, where I was appreciated not only as an employee, but as an individual, as a person. So, I think about that. I think, I know that those things for my own self. But it doesn't stop me from being present right now, right here. I'm right here being present in the podcast. I'm not thinking about the personal things that I have going on right now, even though I know that they're a reality, and I may bring them up in association to what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to be caught up in them and not focus. I want to give my 100% to you guys, for whoever's listening, and even for myself. I'm not only doing this because I feel like I have something to say and I need everyone to listen to it. I'm also doing this for myself. In many ways, I hope that this is some form of like counseling and therapy. I'm not licensed or anything like that, but just someone talking about things that we all can relate to and just easy wording with passion. This is therapy for me in many sense, and I go to therapy. I mean, I think that's something that we all have, especially when it comes to our personal coping mechanisms. We're very present for our coping mechanisms. I was just, talking to a friend, and she was kind of telling me that, when she's depressed and down, like, her coping mechanism is taking a nice, long, hot shower. And for me, I think about that and I'm like, you know what? You're going to be completely and 110% present in that, because that makes you feel good. It distracts you from what's going on, what you're frustrated about, what you're depressed about, what you're upset about, what you're hurt about. But even now for me, like, I'm present here, but there are things that are going on personally that I'm hurt about, that I'm struggling with, but I'm present right here. And to be honest with you, I'm actually really proud of myself for that. As I think about it, like, I'm really proud of myself for that. Because honestly, this has been a really good week. I'll be honest. It's been a really good week. Like, I've been doing really well with my to-do list. I've been present. And I'm just kind of realizing that myself right now, that like I've been so present with everything that I'm trying to do, even though I have so many things that are going on personally that I'm emotionally dealing with, I'm being present. And to bring up something that to touch on earlier podcasts about maintaining balance, I mean, maintaining balance also means being present. And I didn't realize that when I was doing my podcast episode about that, but I'm realizing it now that being present requires, being maintaining balance means being present, being in the moment. And I'm feeling really good about that because I've been present. I've been in the moment. I have been maintaining my emotional balance to the best of my degree. And honestly, ever since I got back into doing the podcast, um, it's really helped me really hone back in and getting back into the meditation and the yoga. In my episode Trust the Process, I talk about how I was in the hospital. And the last episode that I did was of the podcast must have been back in, I don't know, May? No. Yeah, February or March. February or March, somewhere around there. So it's been a while and I'm back. And back then, sorry, just had to stretch my back out. I apologize. Back then, I was present, but I really wasn't. I really wasn't there. I was doing too much. I was trying to be present in the multiple things that I was working on. And that's impossible to do. I'm not the Flash. I'm not Barry Allen. I'm not Wally West. So I can't do that. Nobody can do that. Unless you're Elon Musk. So, I'm realizing after my time in the hospital how important it is to be present. And that's why I've been working so hard on being present in what I'm focused and what I'm doing. And like I was saying earlier, I'm really proud of myself. This week and last week have been really good weeks for me. And I want to keep that momentum going. And that's going to be a topic for a future episode. But just this whole idea of being present is so fascinating to me because everyone has their own way of being present. And I look at it as like this, and this just kind of popped into my head, being present also can be a form of therapy, especially if it's something positive. And even if it's something, that's challenging or tough, even if it's emotionally challenging, physically challenging, I try to look at it as I have this saying where I say, I live life as a lesson learned. And even being present for the hard things, no matter how much they hurt and struggle, you become a much stronger person. You become a much better person. And I think that's what we all want that. We all want to be better people. We all want to be the best version of ourselves. And in order to be the best version of ourselves, we have to be present. The only way to be the best version of ourselves is we have to be present. And so, I say to anyone out there that that is struggling with being present, it's okay. It's okay to struggle. My advice to you is, all right, figure out what exactly are you struggling about. Once you figure that out, once you figure out what you're struggling about, what is associated with that struggle? When it comes to being present, what fears, what happens? And that's how you start working on addressing that issue. That's how I address and work on all of my issues. And hey, it may not work for you. Everything that I say take it for, ingest it, take it in, filter what works for you, and apply it to your life. Apply it to being present. That's all I want. I want everyone to succeed and be present and be happy. And you know what? I know right now that is a tall order. I know that. I know that. But, even now, like with everything going on, like even with my own personal things, like I said, I'm proud of the consistency that I have been with my podcast, with my to-do list, with waking up early every single day, doing my morning routine, my meditation, my qigong, my yoga, being consistent with the podcast. So I mean, like, be proud of yourself for the little things. There's, honestly, like I said in the previous episode, I believe, the short-term victories pave way for the long-term victories. Be proud of yourself for the little victories. There's nothing wrong with that. For those little moments where you're present, those tiny moments where you're present, hell yeah. Be proud of yourself for that. I'm proud of yourself. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of me. There's nothing wrong with that. Come on. I mean, that's another topic for an episode that I have that I struggle with is, giving yourself credit and beating yourself up a lot. Because we all struggle with that. And being present, means not beating yourself up. I apologize. I'm writing something down right now. And so, all I know is that we all can value from being present. We all can. We can all see value in it. And it's all up to you. It's up to you. Like I say, choices. It's all up to you whether you want to be present or not. You can find the ways that work for you. I don't have all the answers. And I claim to have any answers. The answers. I know that. We're always evolving. And that's one of the best things about being present is when you're present, you can see the evolution of yourself. You can see the evolution of your personality, of your psychology, of your thought process. And that's a beautiful thing. It can be a scary thing too. Yeah, don't get me wrong. That can be really scary. But it can be so beautiful if you're willing to embrace it. There's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't nothing wrong with just embracing the present moment. And like I said, even for those tough moments, for those emotional moments, for those sad moments, you have to embrace it. You have to be present for it. Because you will learn so much about yourself. And we all need that. We all need constant learning. We're going to always be learning. You're never going to have the answer. You're never going to. Never. We're all going to leave this planet dead never knowing the true answer. Apologies. We're never going to know. We're going to leave this planet never really knowing. And I mean, I don't know the odds of if we're going to find out on the other side, but who knows? But, do it the best that you can. I'm not the kind of person that's going to get on people's asses. We're human. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have bad weeks, bad months, bad year, bad year. So, patience, baby steps, take your time and being present. Just take your time. Don't need to rush things. Don't need to force things. Don't need to force being present. Okay? I mean, why force things? That's something that, like, it took me a long time to learn. not to force anything. Especially when you're being present, you can't force something to happen. You can't force something to come in your outcome. You can't force people to change or anything. All right? All you can do is be present, be respectful, be the best you can be in those moments. And those really tough moments where being present means going out of your comfort zone. That is life. Life is going out of your comfort zone. Literally is. And the sooner you realize that, a lot easier life will be, honestly. And a lot easier it'll be to roll with the punches. To bob and weave. You know? Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face. And honestly, that's the truth. But how are you going to take that punch? You might get knocked out, but are you going to give up? Or are you going to get back up and be present again? There's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't anything wrong with that. Be present for the failures and remember them, embrace them. Be present for the accomplishments. Be present for the heartbreaks. How many of us, when we were breaking up with someone or they're breaking up with us, we're not really there. We're not present. When we're getting scolded, when our parents are trying to discipline us or give us a teaching moment. Being present also means kind of putting your ego aside. Because if you're not going to put your ego aside for being present, you're not going to see anything, because all you're going to see is your ego. I mean, come on. Really? Someone's trying to help you, trying to give you, constructive criticism, trying to support you, but you can't even see it because all you can see is your ego. How many of us have acted foolish like that? I know I have on multiple occasions. So, I mean, being present means being present and focusing on what you can control. Being present means being consistent. Being present means knowing your outlook. Being present means having a vision. Being present is key in the art of living. And only you you are the painter, you are the painting, like I said in the previous episode. So you have to choose whether or not you're going to be present for the canvas, whether or not you're going to dust off the paints, dust off the pencils. Are you going to be present and apply yourself? Because no one else will. No one else will. Only you can do that. Don't expect anyone else. But you see, this is a thing. This is a skill that takes time to learn and master. So don't be frustrated. All right? Be proud of yourself for taking the time and the energy to focus on being present. To give that thought or responsibility 110% of your focus and energy. Whatever it is. Be proud of yourself for that. Work on that. And that's going to be a never-ending work. Being present. But the more you work on it, the easier it gets. The easier it gets to be present for the most toughest situations in life. But you have to be willing to work on it. And being present is a form of maturity. Being present is a form of growth. People can tell when you're not present. People can tell. It's obvious. We've all seen it. And how funny is it that we get upset when someone does it, but we have no problem doing it to them. And that's the ego for you. Because the ego wants you to be present only for the ego's sake. And that's not being present. That's being selfish. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Monday Mindset Podcast. Please, if you enjoy hearing these episodes and you really wish and you really want to support the Monday Mindset Podcast, please head over to my Patreon and check out my tiers. Ronin Art and Music. Head over to Patreon and check out Ronin Art and Music. You'll see my handsome mug. Check out my tiers and what I provide. And please, any support you can give would be a blessing. And it would really help this seed of Ronin Art and Music bloom into a beautiful flower. And if you can't, share the podcast. Share with your friends and family who are like-minded, who just want some positive energy, some positive affirmation, some positive advice, and who are looking for someone who's like-minded. And if you know someone who's creative, very similar to me, send them my way. Kios, me, I'm here for it. Any advice, any critiques, please share them with me. Ronin Art and Music, the Monday Mindset Podcast. We're growing and we're becoming something much bigger than what we are today. We'll be bigger tomorrow. So please head over to Patreon, look for Ronin Art and Music, click on my handsome mug, check out my tiers. If you can subscribe and donate, please, that would be fantastic. If not, just share and help this podcast grow. Stay positive, stay focused, stay true, and much love.